Hi everyone, Amir here, also known as One Falcon. I wanted to make a video today about some of the special content shown in the latest Sea of Thieves Inside Story video. That special content was some never before seen prototype footage in the game, running in an early state on the Unity game engine. This prototype footage was taken from a play session where some of the Microsoft executives, including Phil Spencer, experienced the game for the first time. Within the footage are many game ideas and mechanics that we haven't heard or seen about that could possibly make their way into the final game. Something to keep in mind though is that none of what we're about to talk about could ever make it into the final game. Rare has been very adamant about not overpromising specific features in the game as to not disappoint the fans. While that is the case, we can still learn a lot about what to expect for the future of Sea of Thieves from ideas that Rare has toyed with in the past. So let's get into it. Right away we see the line of shops in the dock. If you're all caught up on the available footage of Sea of Thieves released so far, you'll know currently that there's only a shipwright for selling chests to and a tavern where you can refill your cup of grog. In this quick glimpse of the shops in the dock, we see a weapon shop, a resource shop, a clothes shop, and at the end of the dock, an enchantments shop. In the latest build of Sea of Thieves, the player is already equipped with 3 weapons, a sword, a blunderbuss, and a flintlock pistol. There being a physical shop for weapons could hint that Rare expects us to purchase our own weapons. In the future updates for the Unreal build, players might not start off with these weapons as they do now, but have to buy them after collecting some treasure. A dedicated shop could also mean there are other weapons we have not yet seen. Why have a shop for just 3 weapons, right? The resource shop is the next store in line. Presently, your crew's boat is stocked with resources, and you can find more in barrels scattered across the game world. The thing about a resource is, they run out, so having a dedicated shop to buy more from could be very handy if you don't have time to search for them. The clothes shop is where it starts to get interesting. Rare has hinted at customization for a long time now. Most recently, during the 2017 E3 Coliseum panel, Mike Chapman referenced players being able to show their experience and achievements in the game with the clothes they wore. This clothes shop seems to imply Rare intends us to be able to buy clothes from the shop on outposts around the world to outfit our pirate with. The last visible shop to us, and the most exciting, is the enchantment shop. Well, we don't know for sure if it's a shop, but it definitely would seem like one as it's located next to all the others. We know there are ghost ships, cursed chests, and mermaids in the game, so enchantments isn't that big of a leap. Magic and spells could definitely exist in the world of Sea of Thieves. During the Comic-Con San Diego art panel last year, we saw the slow transformation of a human turning into a mermaid. Perhaps we'll be able to cast spells on other players or enemy NPCs and turn them into mermaids. If someone cursed you, maybe you'll be able to purchase a counter spell to stop the transformation. There could be an enchantment to summon a kraken, cause a leak on an enemy's ship, spawn a storm, activate a health buff before a big battle. The list of possible spells that could exist in the pirate world are endless. I'm really excited about this possibility of enchantments making their way into the final build of the game, and it really seems like something that could take form in one way or another. As I said, we already have cursed chests which affect players and the game world. As we move up to the top of the crow's nest, there is a wind speed checker. As of now, players have not had to worry about the wind speed, only direction. Currently, the wind in Sea of Thieves changes direction. If the player wants to sail at full speed, they need to turn the sails around to catch the wind. The wind has always been the same strength though. The possibility of adding wind speed into the mix could be interesting. If the wind is dying down, do you really want to engage in battle with that ship on the horizon? If the wind is picking up, you better be ready to raise the sails or lower the anchor quicker than usual as you don't want to crash into that island. As we move around the captain's quarters, we get a quick glimpse of what could be a small rowboat attached to the back of the ship. Currently, players can either swim to their desired location from the ship or shoot themselves out of a cannon there. A small rowboat would come in handy when returning to the ship with treasure in hand. We see in the prototype footage the same X marks the spot treasure map we have become accustomed to. The players are using a map in hand with a shovel. What is interesting here is to see the chest is locked, and it appears one of the pirates in the crew has a key or a lockpick to open it. We don't see them opening it with our own eyes, but seconds after we see the same chest closing. We can assume that the crew was able to open the treasure there on the island rather than taking it to the shipwright to cash in. The mechanic as it stands today of having to take the chest to the shipwright to cash in adds a lot to the gameplay. There is a risk of sailing around with too many chests before cashing in and getting caught. The crew has to weigh their options and see if it's worth the time it would take to go to the outpost or go for the next chest. The possibility of other ships having chests also heightens the interest of attacking the other ships for the loot. I'm curious if this feature is brought over, as it seems it could diminish some of the strategy. If it is brought into the Unreal version, perhaps you can buy a one-time lockpick to help mitigate the risk of traveling with treasure. You have to pay up to play safe. Another interesting note in this scene are the coconuts in the trees. Right now we know about the bananas as a resource. Stem first, fellow pirates! Shortly after the banana reveal, we got the screenshot of a coconut in the Unreal version of the game. Seeing them here in the prototype makes me think we will definitely see coconuts more fleshed out later on. Back on the ship, we see what appears to be mini hand cannons mounted on the front of the ship, but if you've been looking closely at the end of the barrel, you would have noticed something looking like a stick or spear sticking out. We see here what appears to be a rope or line being shot out of it. Could these be harpoon guns? We don't really get to see what they were used for in the prototype. Perhaps they could be shot at other ships. Attaching yourself to an enemy's ship would help prevent their escape. They definitely seem like they'd be useful against sharks floating around your ship as well. Something also new to combat we haven't seen yet is melee punching. As of now, the only melee attack is your sword. Back to the idea of players not starting out with any weapons and having to purchase them, we will definitely need a way to defend ourselves from foes, and a good punch or two will get the job done. So something very brief during the punching kerfuffle aboard the ship was a player throwing dice. If you look very closely for a split second, you can see the dice thrown and flying through the air. We have no idea what the dice are being used for, but they are definitely in the prototype. If dice do make their way into the Unreal build of Sea of Thieves, it will be interesting to see if they will be implemented in a structured game or more of just another tool to make our own games with. The player in the prototype footage seems to be throwing them at Phil. It was worth a shot. So that is about all I can spot from this very special footage of Sea of Thieves in such an early stage of development. While nothing shown in the prototype footage is guaranteed to make its way into the final release of the game, I feel like they do show the other kinds of ideas Rare could definitely add into Sea of Thieves. If enchantments and harpoon guns on the table, I think we can expect some great things for Sea of Thieves. If you catch something I missed, or think something I spotted will be used in another way, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to keep your eye out for more Sea of Thieves coverage.